There's a certain role that this demonstration plays in educating the field. And we want people to understand why it's so important to intervene with little children earlier. And we want people to understand that the relationship is the most critical thing. It's not just what the birth parent needs to do to demonstrate whatever they need to demonstrate through their case plan. It's what they're doing in the relationship with their child. That's what's critical.
When somebody takes that title away from you, Mom is the hardest. Because you're like, you thought you were Mama, but somebody tells you you're not worth being a parent. It's really hard. When you have a judge telling you, no, they're not going home. They're going to be in foster care. You know, it was a challenge that I needed to win.
Right now, Illinois has one of the longest lengths of stay of children in foster care in the nation. Quite frankly, children stay too long in Illinois foster care. If you look at the national data, on average, half of the children will find permanence, usually in the form of adoption, within 1 year. Illinois takes 2.5 years to reach that mark, where half the children have found permanence. The 4E IB3 demonstration is allowing Illinois to use dollars that would have been used for foster care to support innovative, developmentally informed interventions that can help families who've lost their children to the child welfare system at a very early age, under the age of 4.
What is IB3? Well, IB3 stands for the Illinois Birth Through 3 Title 4E Waiver Demonstration. It is Illinois' participation in a national effort to change the way that child welfare is practiced and financed. And the way that they're doing that is that they create these Title 4E waivers, which means that the money that has been traditionally spent to keep children out of home care and foster care can be spent in different ways to promote child well-being and hopefully then to bring about greater permanency and stability for children and stronger families.
So essentially the control group or comparison group is receiving services as usual. This is what they would typically get if we didn't have the opportunity to use this 4E money differently. The intervention group is what's providing the new services. So that's the strongest way we have to demonstrate impact.
We are providing 2 interventions that are designed to develop and heal and strengthen relationships between little ones, birth to 3, and their caregivers and birth parents. So those 2 interventions are child-parent psychotherapy and the nurturing parenting program. So child-parent psychotherapy is one of the best known and most evidence-based interventions that works directly on the relationship between the parent and the child, healing the trauma and building back an attachment that allows the child to then get back on track.
First of all, there's this foundation of relationship. And when a child has experienced interpersonal violence, when they've experienced traumatic events, traumatic loss, medical trauma, it changes the way that the child understands relationships in the world, and they no longer feel safe and secure. And because of that, then there's all these things that happen, behaviors, tantrums, sleep disturbances, and relationship problems.
We know that kids play out things that are important to them, and play is like a child's activity. It's like their work, if you will. It's like their school. And so we may see repetitive themes that the play's not fun and spontaneous.
We had a little guy placed with us, and when he first came to us, he would just constantly cry. It's just, he was changed, he was dry, he was fed, everything, just constantly cry. And it was just like, we would have to just hold him, calm him down, and he would just, the minute you put him on the floor, just cry. So it was like he needed that attention. But we also have another foster child with us, and to have 2 infants just sitting there, it's like, having them together, trying just to hold both of them, just to calm them one down. The other little guy would play with them, just to give him toys. If he would cry, give him the bottle. I mean, it was just, it's a lot.
For me, I think the biggest challenge is that physical break. We know that in the early years, just having time to nurture and get to know your child and really connect with them is very important. That physical touch, and just at a basic level, that's missed once a family is separated and a child is placed in a foster home.
So the parent may not be able to recognize danger or threat, or the parent may not be able to recognize the child's emotional experience. And because young children need their caregivers to help them identify and manage their emotions, which of course is related to managing their behavior, we really need to assist parents to find out what's in the way of their ability to really see what their child needs, to sensitively respond to their child.
One of the biggest changes I've seen in parents is this capacity to understand that their child has his or her own perspective on what's happening, and that it might be different from the parents, and to be able to allow for that perspective, validate the sort of emotional stuff that's behind that perspective, and help the kiddo feel better is a really, I think, huge thing that shifts.
My goal as a CPP therapist is to empower the parent, foster parent or otherwise, to being the therapist at home, because they're only with me for 50 minutes or 60 minutes a week, and that's not going to have a long-lasting effect. But if I can translate for them into things that they can use then at home, then they're going to have a lot of opportunities to make an impact on this child's development.
Parenting, who thinks about, okay, I need classes for parenting, never thought about it. But it was a great experience, actually.
NPP is a nurturing parent program, and basically what we do, we teach the parents who are affiliated with IDCFS because of why the case came in, we teach them the necessary nurturing skills to build a more secure bond and attachment with their child. This ages from 0 to 3.
It's a 16-week educational parenting group. It's not just an educational group though. I think there's a lot of different aspects that we add to it that makes it kind of a community.
We talk about a range of curriculum in regards to brain development, in regards to nurturing, parenting skills. We talk about behaviors, how to meet children's needs.
We know that when children's needs are not met, there's still a behavior for that, right? So think about it. Has your child ever given you any behavior to let you know they needed something from you?
It's made me think a little bit more about how you say things to children, how you interact with children, how you embrace them, because at an age, no matter what age it is, it can be from birth until adulthood, you have to have a certain emotion for children.
And I watched the parents, and there were about 8 of them in the class, just sort of sit back in amazement of this idea of being told that you could praise a child just for being your daughter, just for being your son, that I love you because you're here. Seeing that enlightenment, that aha moment for them was really very special to me. It also made me realize that none of them had ever experienced that.
And our society was still stuck with abuse and non-abuse. Well, the absence of abuse has got to be something. So if you take abuse away, what do you have? So this is abuse, and what's non-abuse? Well, non-abuse turns out, as it is, to be nurturing. And nurturing is one of these dynamics that we're born with. You know, it's a characteristic. We're born nurturing people. We're made into abusive people. But I was determined to try to interpret, well, what child abuse was. And if I could figure out what child abuse was, then I could see it. And so we came up with 5 behaviors over a period of time that related to what we could define now as child abuse. Inappropriate parental expectations, lack of parental empathy, strong belief in the use of corporal punishment, reversing parent-child roles, and oppressing children's power and independence. So now when I think of child abuse, now I have 5 constructs. A construct is a kind of like a theoretical summary. And so now I know what child abuse looks like.
We have 5 competencies or lesson focuses for that day. And so it kind of drives what we want the class to look like, and there are different activities that go along with each of those competencies.
We have fun in our groups. You know, the teachers make it fun, interesting, and at first we all didn't know each other, but towards the end we all just, it's great, you know. We get to see each other and talk to each other if we need anything.
We thought we were gonna like be shy in the beginning, like, you know, different strangers, like, oh my God, what am I gonna learn from them, you know? And it was so easy. We opened up the first day, like, you know, we talked about our kids. One of the girls, she was about to start potty training her child, so I gave her some tips.
The Nurturing Parenting program can really help with giving those extra supports while then giving them the tools that they need to kind of enhance their parenting skills. So I think that's where NPP is different than some of the other groups.
If you're willing to learn, yes, it helps you so much. If you're willing to take that home with you and exercise it, then it's worth it.
Even though the kids are back home, you have to make sure you make the right moves, you know, what their future is going to be. And the kids are the main reason that I need to focus on, not what I want for them, what they want for themselves.
I have 3 kids. I cannot, you know, say I don't. I do. And I care and love them so much. So I'm happy when the judge finally said they could come home.
I do want to talk about creating a community of healing for our children and for their families, because I do think that's what we're about the business of doing. I know for sure that's what IB3 is about.
If this is successful the way I think folks anticipate, we'll have an evidence-supported intervention that the federal government will want to scale up across the nation. And I think adding to the list of what can inform evidence-based practice is an important outcome of this.
We're trying to say, as are all the waivers, trying to say that there is an effective way to use the dollars that we would be spending on foster care. If we could spend them on treatment and interventions that we know are evidence-based or evidence-informed, that we can shorten that time in foster care and move them to permanency more quickly, while simultaneously working on those relationships and those developmental and well-being issues. And so that's what we're really trying to prove in a sort of big picture way.